Welcome, beloved awaken one. I'm Monica Bermudez, and this is the podcast of the Ascended Earth, the transfiguration of the new you, the new human. We are an ever-evolving human, learning, growing, expanding, and upgrading. What you are and always will be is a divine, cosmic galactic source from source, more than you can imagine. But not all of us are living to our fullest potential. It is time to embrace what you are and unlock your magical keys and spiritual gifts. This podcast is a transmission of energy codes meant to unlock other dormant DNAs to remember, reconnect, revive, and renew you to the new human, the avatar that you are. This is the transfiguration of the new you. Hello, beloved one. This is Monica Bermudez. In this episode, I want to talk about the dark night of the soul and the hero's journey. And they're both very much interconnected and correlated with one another. So we all go through several aspects of the dark night of the soul when we are in a state of grief and depression, and it seems like an excruciating pain that never ends, like a never-ending cycle. And when our thoughts are swirling and swirling around, analyzing the past mistakes, regrets, or missing something or someone terribly. And these are all forms of attachments to our own thoughts, feelings, and actions that we have taken. So whatever may be the case, this is all being a part of human. A human in the 3D matrix that we've all volunteered to be a part of. The experience, the learning here on this earth, on the surface, being covered by this veil of forgetfulness and experiencing it with this painful aspect of grief, sorrow, and it's just so painful. And that's because I've been there. From my personal experience, I have had several dark night of the souls growing up as a kid. Even when there really wasn't anything to really have this feeling. And part of that reason why I really felt that growing up as a teenager specifically was because I really felt that I did not fit here on this earth. I really felt that I was so different from others around me and those who I connected with. I just didn't feel like I resonated with so many because I felt so different. I had so many abilities that I knew that I could not really speak about openly. And I could just read minds, for example, and I had a feeling that I couldn't really say that without somebody getting freaked out about it. So I just knew that I was very different, and it just felt that I didn't quite understand why I was on this earthly plane. Part of it was because of the veil, right? The forgetfulness. I now realize that because there's been quite a journey for me on this process of awakening, even though I was partially awake, but I had this full blown out awakening that occurred when I had my most deepest dark night of the soul, which was after the divorce that triggered this huge earthquake, right? And it felt like when I look back that some of the other dark night of the souls that I had growing up, they were just little tremors compared to this one because I went into this really deep, dark grief and depression period where I really thought that I had completed everything that I needed to complete in this lifetime. And it was very painful for me to go through this process because there was just so much that I still needed to work on myself as far as the patterns that were being shown to me during this dark night of the soul. So really what the dark night of the soul is this shaking up to go into this deeper awakening. And it's an awakening of your true gifts and abilities within your soul that is also taking you deeper to a connection to source. And it's a remembrance of an aspect of you. So in a sense, it is also unveiling who you really are at the soul level and the heart level. So I'm here to tell you there is greater light at the end of the tunnel of this dark night of the soul. So I know that you can overcome this if you're experiencing this right now. So past this dark night of the soul, you come out so victorious and much stronger. It's like a phoenix rising from the ashes. And every hero goes through this dark night of the soul. It is a journey and experience to activate your heart and soul at a much deeper level. This is one of the biggest ones that really led into my whole talk about the awakening of the heart. Because there is such this deep grief that can occur in the heart. A lot of the patterns and grief and pain surface out of the heart. And not only did I see this in myself, but I saw this in my clients as well. And one of the things that really started to peel away or to expand my heart and open up more to get me more out of my dark night of the soul was all my walks to the mountain. I would spend a lot of hiking time to my nearest mountain where I lived. And even though it was about 2 hours one way, I would go every weekend and I would spend the whole day hiking. And I would pick the trails that were probably pretty challenging to hike. And, just walking in nature was just already opening me up and expanding me, because nature is one way to really help you accelerate and activate you from this dark night of the soul. And I wanted to just be on my own. I would just hike these things all by myself because I was in this state of depression that I didn't want to be around anybody. And it was hard for me to even ask for help being in that state. And what I found was so comforting for me was being in nature. And it's appropriate because we are of nature and we are interconnected with nature. So it is appropriate as being the first step for when it comes to getting out of the dark night of the soul. And sometimes I would go to Sedona to go connect with the vortex energies from there as well in the mountains. And those were also activating and healing me as well. I would spend times in some of the most challenging mountains, probably trying to climb it. And I did end up climbing and hiking some of them. When I look back, I am pretty much in awe that I actually climbed some of these mountains by myself. But I was just determined to really find comfort somewhere from this pain. And I certainly didn't want to just be at home by myself with this feeling. So I was trying to find a way out of healing myself in some way or another. And in that way, I did try on my own for some time till I felt that it was appropriate to start opening my heart more and start getting a lot more of the inner guidance and messages from my guides, reminding me of my soul contract and my purpose. Because again, we fall into this whole veiling of this forgetfulness. It's interesting that one of the movies that actually helped pull me out of this whole dark night of the soul, that gave me this complete perspective on things. So it was like a triggering. So I consider triggering to be like an activation as well. It could be positive or negative. In this case, it was positive. So it triggered me to realize this different perception and realize what was going on with me in that moment of overanalyzing things. And what was keeping me stuck in this, pretty much this dark night of the soul that seemed like a broken record. It's just never ending. When I watched the movie, The Life of Pi, it's about the story of a young man who was in a shipwreck. And he was the only survivor, him and this other tiger. Spoiler alerts, by the way, if you haven't seen it. And so they find themselves in this one rescue boat, or this one boat, lifeboat. And they realize that in order for them to survive, they have to find a way to get along throughout the journey. So they encounter all sorts of challenges throughout, but they managed to still survive without, attacking one another. So they had this bit of this mutual agreement, right, that they wouldn't hurt each other until they were able to reach some form of safety. And so they did reach a location of safety, which ended that journey of them being in the sea for so long, probably for months. And as soon as they arrive, the tiger just gets up, gets out of the boat, and starts walking towards the forest nearby. And the guy who's in the boat's looking at this tiger and is wondering, is this tiger gonna look back and acknowledge, all this time that we spent together? And the tiger did not even look back to acknowledge any form of saying goodbye, but simply just kept moving forward. And in that moment, he was struck with grief because he was attached to the fact that he felt that they had bonded and had created this friendship together and this understanding. But to the tiger, he was just merely trying to survive this journey. And he felt that he had just completed that and he was just moving on. So he had no form of attachment whatsoever. And so in that moment, I had this aha click moment. And I felt that I was like the guy. I'm holding on to this attachment, on this perception of something that I thought that I had made a mistake in the divorce. That I made the wrong choice, or that I made this mistake and I regretted even having gone into this marriage. But I just need to let that go. And so in that moment, I released it. And it felt like this switch that I no longer needed to be in this dark night of the soul. I completed the lesson. And it felt very victorious. It's like a hero being in a battle for, so long of the shadow, the dark. You have all these movies about these different battles, fighting all these monsters and so forth, which are an aspect of our own shadows and fears, our own attachments to things that probably don't matter or don't need to be attached to, but there is a form of letting go and surrendering. And we have movies, also some of my other favorite movies that kind of display this, like The Lord of the Rings, of the journey of the Hobbit to get to the mountain to destroy this powerful ring that was taking over the land and so forth. Which, towards the end, as he was approaching, he was feeling that it was too overbearing, that he could not move forward any longer. But he had help. He had his guides telling him, you can do this, cheering for him. So you can consider Sam to be like his guide till the end of this journey, this chapter, let's just say. Because the journey always continues. We just go through these different chapters in our life of adventures. And so when he reached his destination of his adventure and this journey, he was able to accomplish it and achieve what he had accomplished in that moment, that he had his own realization as well, where he had his own awakening at the end of it, when he almost fell into the darkness itself. And my most favorite one that displays a lot of these examples is The Matrix. And The Matrix, I feel, is like a true story. Because we are trapped, or we are in this form of matrix right now, where we are following certain rules, right? When it comes to what, has been built around us, right? What we see, what we perceive. But just like the movie, and I have to say this, you are the one. You are the chosen one. You are the hero. You're the one you've been waiting for all these years. You're the savior of yourself in every way. And you and I chose to be here now to break out of the matrix and help others break out of the matrix. Because it is through each and every one of us, as we shift ourselves, as we make these quantum changes and change our perception and our belief, we are also changing this quantum field, that we are all interconnected. So the collective is also feeling all these changes as well. And eventually it will catch up to them when it comes to their own awakening. And everybody's on their own path of awakening based on their own experience. And experiencing the dark night of the soul was a way to learn and activate you on the path of the hero to be brave and courageous for the changes occurring now on this earth. So in a way, during the pandemic, that was a collective dark night of the soul, where we were all cocooned inwardly, inside, like literally being in the house. And what resulted were these butterflies and these new versions of ourselves, because I feel like all of us have really changed. A lot of people notice this, right? We're not the same as we were before COVID or the pandemic happened, to say. And we haven't been the same ever since. In every chapter that we experience, every journey, there's always this new version of ourselves being recreated based on every new experience and every lesson that we're getting from that experience. Every cycle that we're completing, we just move on and be initiated to the next level of our journey in life. So initiation is also a new chapter. It's a new journey of our own soul expansion, because we are expansive, just like the universe is. We are part of the universe, but we also are the universe. Because the Kabbalion says that as above, so below, and as below, so above. The law of correspondence is the universal law that is also another way of saying a reflection of one another. So what is reflected in the cosmos is also reflected within us. And that is the deep learning behind this whole dark night of the soul, is having that inner wisdom activated within you. So I will leave you with this message from my heart to your heart, is that whatever challenge you're facing at this time, that you have the power to break yourself out of it, because it is by your own will to acknowledge, to be aware of it, and to willfully make the change. Whether that start with the perception within yourself and the willingness to let it go and to surrender into that river of the universe, the current and the flow of the energy of where it's taking us. So thank you for your time. I am sending you so much love. Bye for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to click like, save, and share with others so they can also experience what you just experienced. And stay tuned for some more high vibe episodes. And I'll be connecting with you in the next quantum field. Sending you so much love.